one other area that I thought was interesting, and I think it comes up today from time to time as well, the lakefront. I mean, Loyola has different campuses all over. I mean, it wasn't always at the water tower or even up here in Rogers Park, was it? I mean, like you said, it started.
It started in Roosevelt Road,
right.
And then in 1922, the property up here, Lisa, was bought in 1906. And
right.
people at Loyola think all of a sudden sort of the campus blossomed. It wasn't like that at all. Finally, in 1922, the whole college is up on the Lakeshore campus. There's a downtown campus always, one building for working class students, the law students, the School of Sociology. Of course, women were not allowed in Loyola until 1914, and then it was through the School of Sociology, and that's a fascinating unknown story. There's a French scholar right now who's working on the earliest women graduates, and they were public school teachers in 1914.
But that was the only college that they could get into.
That's right. That's right.
Because of the social work connection, or
Father Siedenberg was one of these Jesuits who had more influence than I'd say 4 university presidents, and it was a way all Jesuit universities then were single-sex schools. So if you were a proponent of coeducation, how did you get the women in? And Siedenberg figured out this way through the School of Sociology, and it boosted Loyola's.
Well, what was his argument though? That they deserved to be let into that college, the School of Sociology, as opposed to any other?
Well, it had to do with engagement with the larger city, is what I argue. One of the things I really tried to do in this book was to show how Loyola was fundamentally an urban institution, and it was responding to the needs of the city. So the School of Sociology was creating an opportunity for social workers in the city who were Catholic and others to understand the importance of the university and its the difference it made in the life of the city.
Yeah, and I think it's tapping into a larger tradition of coming back to this question of where can women be accepted in the public life, and social work was one of those fields, as evidenced most prominently by a place like Hull House, where women could engage in civic activity, and this idea of being more appropriately suited towards cleaning things up and taking care and education and these things, that social work became it became sort of cloistered in this as a woman's field. But a lot of women used it as an access point to do really remarkable things rather than sort of being bound to it. So
just because they were going into when they graduated from the College of Sociology does not necessarily mean that they were all doing social work.
That they were all what?
Doing social work.
Not necessarily. The component of public school teachers in Chicago, it was a huge undertaking. Irish Catholic girls mainly. The nuns at Mundelein College also were educating girls to become teachers in Chicago's public schools. Again, an unknown story. And Loyola's role in extending the influence in the city is been unacknowledged, and I hope that the book will begin to force a reassessment of the ways in which Loyola has been deeply engaged with the city of Chicago, and its graduates have really shaped the larger city. And when you think about it, most of Loyola's graduates were commuter students up until the 1970s. They stayed in Chicago. They got jobs as they moved up the social and economic ladder. They made huge contributions to the city of Chicago.
Well, just to wrap things up, I have many questions, and I'm glad I have the book so I can read the entire thing now. But did Mundelein College were they any better in their record keeping since you run the center there, or were they just as sort of behind the curve in their record keeping of their history?
Really, we have a remarkable collection that exists of the administrative records. We don't keep the student records. There are privacy concerns there, but the administrative records, photographs, memorabilia, we have a remarkable collection. But I always say there's always room to take in, even though the college itself is now affiliated to Loyola and for all purposes as an institution doesn't exist anymore. There's still a tremendously active alumni pool, and I still get things mailed mailed into me, and I encourage that.
That's
where
fantastic.
people have their school notes and their records and photographs and these things. So even though it's not growing exponentially like it once did, it's still, I think of it still as a growing collection. But it is a really wonderful group, and for I'm glad to say, though sorry to say for Loyola, but I'm glad to say much more complete a record.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I wish we had more time because we could probably just sit here for the entire hour and talk about it because
Thank you.
It's very comprehensive and really fantastic illustrations, and especially heavy on the architecture in terms of I really enjoyed the architectural influences that you trace and explore in the book. And I'm saying a lot. Ellen Skerrett, Dr. Elizabeth Myers, thank you very much for being on the show. And
Thank
we
you.
will be right back after this short musical break.